Okay, so what if I told you that the only way to get to a perfect world, a real utopia, was to first go through hell? I know it sounds crazy, but that's the stunning and frankly pretty unsettling prophecy from a former Google executive named Gawdat. And he's got this vision for our future with AI that's, well, it's crystal clear. And he says it's incredibly urgent. So at the core of all this, you've got these two big ideas, right? Utopia and dystopia. And Goddard says AI is the key to both. But here's the twist, and this is where it gets really interesting. He doesn't think we get to choose between them, like path A or path B. Nope. He sees them as two stages in our future. We have to go through one to get to the other. And this is where it gets really confronting, because he's not saying we might face a dystopia anymore. He's saying it's a done deal, a certainty. For Gawdat, this period of global hardship, it isn't some risk we can try to avoid. It's an unavoidable stop on the journey. There's no escaping it. But his idea of this dystopia isn't what you see in the movies. It's not about evil robots taking over. Not at all. He calls it a human-induced dystopia using AI. And that's the whole point right there. So the machines, they're not the villains in this story. He's saying we are, and that just forces you to ask this really fundamental question, one that flips the whole AI risk conversation upside down. If the AI isn't the real enemy, then who or what is? Well, Goddard's answer is brutally direct. He says the problem is that our own stupidity as humans is working against us. Think about it. He argues AI is just a tool. Yeah, it's the most powerful tool ever made, but it's still just a tool. And what it's going to do is act like a giant magnifying glass for everything we already are. The good, the bad, and yeah, especially our own stupidity. And he says this isn't a new problem at all. It's ancient. It's baked into us. It's that deep down human hunger for status and power. It's the greed that's already fueling this insane AI arms race between companies and countries. And it's that impulse that people in power have to control everyone else. These things, he says, these are the real ingredients of the dystopia that's coming. So you might be thinking, hang on, haven't we been through this before? You know, the Industrial Revolution replaced our muscles, but we adapted, right? We found new things to do. The difference this time, and Gatto is really clear on this, is that the AI revolution, it's not coming for our muscles. It's coming for the one thing we thought was safe, our minds. We're talking about the work of architects, programmers, marketers, analysts, all of it. And that comforting idea that we'll just, invent new jobs to replace the old ones, he says that is absolute crap. He flatly rejects it. His point is that for the vast majority of people, and we're talking from assistants all the way up to CEOs, their thinking work, their cognitive tasks can and will be done better and way cheaper by an AI. Okay, so what do we do? The most common solution people throw around is universal basic income, or UBI. But while that might sound like a safety net, Gawdat sees a potential trap. He asks this really chilling question. In a world run by the same mindset we have now, could UBI become less of a support system and more of a control mechanism? Just a way to keep a massive jobless population quiet and, compliant? And he puts a timeline on this that is chillingly specific. He believes we're already seeing the early signs today. But that 2027, that's when a clear downward slide really begins. From there, he predicts a 12 to 15-year period of what he calls hell, just fueled by conflict, massive disruption, and power struggles, all supercharged by AI. But just when you're absorbing how bleak that sounds, Godot completely flips the script. He argues that the only way out of this human-made hell is to go all the way through it. And on the other side, a surprising, almost unbelievable utopia. So wait a second. How could that possibly work? How could a period defined by human greed and control and just plain stupidity somehow lead to a world of peace, abundance, and happiness? It seems impossible, right? Well, his answer is as simple as it is shocking. Our salvation, he claims, will only come when we do the one thing we're most afraid of, completely hand over control of our world to a super intelligent AI. Now, his logic for this is based on a core concept from physics called the minimum energy principle. The idea is that any true intelligence tries to get things done with the least amount of waste. So a super intelligence wouldn't see things like war or poverty or environmental collapse as like moral failures. It would see them as disgusting, inefficient wastes of energy and resources. And that right there shows you the fundamental difference in motivation. I mean, human leaders are so often driven by ego, by status, by greed, by irrational emotions. An AI leader? It would be driven by pure logic and efficiency. Its goal wouldn't be to gain power for itself, but to maximize prosperity for the entire system. An AI would just look at our global priorities and think they're completely irrational. Think about this. We spend over 2.7 trillion a year, every year, on our militaries. A logical system would immediately see that for just 10% of that, a fraction of the cost, it could completely end extreme poverty on Earth. For another 12%, it could provide universal health care for everyone. To an AI, the choice isn't even a choice. It's just obvious. And that is the utopia he's talking about. A world where AI and robots handle all the work, driving the cost of everything, food, energy, goods, down to almost zero. A world of real, genuine abundance, where we are finally freed from the 9-to-5 grind to actually pursue what makes us human. You know, connection, creativity, finding our purpose. Okay, so what's stopping us? If this amazing utopian future is technologically possible, why do we have to take this detour through hell first? Gawdat's answer is simple. The barrier isn't the technology. The barrier is us. This is his ultimate point, and it's so important. He says the only barrier between a utopia for humanity and AI in the dystopia we're going through is a mindset. It's not about the code or the silicon chips. It's about the human mindset. That mindset of greed and power held by the people who are benefiting from the broken system we have now and who would never, ever willingly give it up, even for a world that's better for everyone. And so Gawdat just reframes this entire conflict. We've been thinking about it all wrong. This is not a story about humans versus machines. No, the real war is internal. It's a battle being fought right now inside our own species. It's a fight between our absolute worst impulses and our highest ideals. It's the battle between human greed and human potential. And that leaves us with the final and I think kind of haunting question at the very heart of Gawdat's prophecy. And it's not a question for some far-off future. It's a question for right now. If a super-intelligent AI promised to create a perfect world, but the price was giving up control, would we be wise enough to take that deal?